So we're going to continue talking about multi-step equations, but there's two extra types of solutions you can have. So we've been working with problems with one solution, but you can also have no solution or infinite solutions. So the first one we want to look at is a no solution problem. So we're going to go ahead and solve this just like we would any other multi-step equation. Step one, remember, is to distribute if possible. And in this first one, we can. We have a -4 that we're going to pass out to both parts. So we're going to do -4 times 2, which is a -8x, and then a -4 times a positive 1, which is a -4, and then bring down the -8x minus 2. So now the next step, remember, is to combine like terms. We have no terms to combine here, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step, which is to solve. And the first step we want to do is we're going to try and get those x's all on one side. Remember, since this is a variables on both sides equation, we want to make sure we get all the variables on one side first before we continue through the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take my one on the right and I'm going to add it to the one on the left. Now, when you add this, you'll see that it gets rid of both x terms. -8 plus 8 is 0. -8 plus 8 is 0. So I'm left with -4 equals -2. And we know that -4 is not the same thing as -2. So that means that there are no solutions at all to this problem. And you would write it like this with a little null sign, or you can write no solution. Okay, so there's no possible number that would work as a solution to this problem. Now on the other side, there's infinite solutions. So we're going to go ahead and solve, and I'll show you what a solution for an infinite solution looks like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start by distributing, if possible, which we can. So I'll bring down my -5 minus 9x equals 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times -3 is a -9x. And then bring down my -8. So now we combine like terms, which we can. There is stuff we can combine on that right side. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight my like terms. And then I'll combine them. So I'll do -5 minus 9x equals -9x. And then 3 minus 8, and that's a -5. All right, so now what I can go ahead and do is I can move my x terms because we have x's on both sides. So I want to make sure we get them all to the same side. So I'm going to move my one from the right and move it to the left. So I'm going to add 9x to both sides. And when I do that, I'm left with -5 equals -5. Okay, and since this is true, -5 is in fact -5, we would write this as infinite solutions. If you cannot draw the infinity sign, you can just write infinite solutions. But every single number here could work as a solution to this problem. And you may notice that in this step here, that these would be the same. We have a -5, a -5, a -9x, -9x. So you'll see that these are exactly the same, and therefore it's infinite solutions. So I have some examples I want to go through just to make sure we're good at practicing what that looks like. So you're going to pause it, you're going to try these examples, and then you're going to come back and compare your answer with what I have. So pause the video, try these problems, and press play when you're ready. So again, step one. So we have 6x plus 6 minus 3x equals 6 plus 3x. Now I can go ahead and combine my like terms if possible, which we do have that here. I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms to get 3x plus 6 equals 6 plus 3x. Get my x's all to one side, and I get 6 equals 6. So this should have been an infinite solution. For number 2, we're going to go ahead and distribute as our first part. Again, you should just be checking your answers at this point. You should not be working on this with me. Okay, and then 6 times a -6 is a -36 equals a -7 times a -2, it's 14x. And then a -7 times a +4 is a -28. Then I can go ahead and combine like terms if possible. It's not. So we're going to move on to step 3, which is to make sure all the x variables are on the same side. Remember, we like to move the smaller one. You can move whichever one you want. I'm going to be moving the smaller one. So 12x is the smaller of the two, so I am going to subtract 12x from both sides to get negative 36 equals 2x minus 28. And then I can go ahead and solve, get rid of this first. So I have negative 36 plus 28, which is a negative 8. Divide both parts by 2. So my x should equal negative 4. Okay, and again, when you solve this, you do get negative 4 equals x, but then you just flip it because it's an equation, so you can do that. So that one is a normal one solution problem. Number 3, we're going to see if this has one solution, no solution, or infinite solutions. So step 1 is to distribute. So I should have 40x minus 24 equals negative 18x minus 24. So step 2 is to make sure all those things can be combined, which nothing is being combined here. So step 3 is to move all the variables to one side. So I'm going to move the smaller one. So 40 plus 18 is 58. X minus 24 equals a negative 24. Add 24 to both sides. So you have 58x equals 0. So now I can go ahead and divide both sides by 58. And x equals 0. So there's only one solution here. So number 4, let's go ahead and look at your work for that. So we're distributing. Make sure you're passing out this negative to both parts. So you have 3x minus 13 equals 7x plus 14 minus 4x plus 28. Step 2 is to combine like terms, which we can do here. There are a lot of terms to combine. All right, so we can go ahead and combine our like terms. So 7x minus 4x is 3x, and 14 plus 28 is a positive 42. Then we get all the x's on one side. So I have negative 13 equals 42. And that is not true, so this is a no solution problem.